Those of you who don't know, we all broadcast games for the Lakers, and the person that covers the Lakers for ESPN is Dave McMenamin, who right now is on assignment in Boston to cover Game 1 of the Finals, and he's got like a phone coming out of both ears, his pocket, everywhere else, and he's nice enough to give us a few minutes. Hi, Dave. How are you?
I'm, kind of burning the candle at both ends out here, John. But, it never really stops with the Laker job. So
no, all right. So let me
3,000 miles away. We'd be having it.
Let me start here. I have been told, and you and I talked to a lot of the same people, but although you and I haven't talked today, to slow my roll on Danny Hurley. That whereas Woj's report that he's being targeted is very accurate. There's mutual interest there, but it's nowhere close to being done. Are you hearing the same thing?
Yeah, that's great information that you're hearing, John. Listen, this has been a process where they've certainly vetted Danny Hurley. They've done their research, talked to people. They still got to really get to know him, though, and see if there's a fit between Danny Hurley, the man, and the Lakers, the organization. And, obviously they've liked what they've heard so far, and it's allowed them to continue this pursuit. So there's no reason why we wouldn't believe that it will continue to progress. But it has to actually progress before we start talking about a leading candidate or an inevitable candidate.
Danny Hurley, when you saw him win the championship for the second year in a row, he sounded like a guy who was going to be a lifer in college, if not at UConn. Did he always have a secret urge to coach in the NBA that none of us knew about?
Well, it's actually not that secret, Michael. If you look back at some of the interviews that he's done subsequent to winning his second straight championship with UConn, he's let it be known that he has NBA aspirations. And obviously, you think about the basketball family that he comes from. His father's a legendary high school basketball coach. His brother was one of the all-time great college basketball players at Duke and has been a college basketball coach as well. If he was able to parlay this level of success at the NCAA level, it's not just – and then go to the NBA, it's not just for him. It's for the entire Hurley family. And quite frankly, if you asked him 5 years ago, is he going to be a college basketball lifer, he probably says it 100 times out of 100, I'm going to do it. But basketball has changed completely at the NCAA level.
Yep.
I mean, I was texting with Danny Hurley before I even knew he was going to be a candidate. I was texting with him after the second championship and, a few months back. And he got back to me a few days later. Dave, thanks for the congratulations, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm like, hopefully you can enjoy this one. And he was already out on the road recruiting, looking to try to get guys out of the transfer portal. It's the wild, wild west in NCAA hoops right now. And it doesn't mean that the NBA doesn't have its own challenges, certainly with the new tax aprons and the punitive structure of the new CBA. But generally, you're going to make more money, and it's not your job to recruit. It'll be on Jeannie Buss and Kurt Rambis and Rob Pelinka and company to do the recruiting.
So that will be a very, very important thing for him to decide to come to the Lakers, aside from the money.
Yeah, absolutely. It takes that challenge that is really more of a headache than a challenge when it comes to college sports off his plate, and he gets to dive into the thing that he's also really made a name for himself is his offensive innovation. And he's been running sets that have impressed college scouts, impressed NBA scouts, impressed other NBA coaches as they've watched this dominant run by the Huskies through the last two NCAA championships. And, listen, if you're a basketball lifer and you get the opportunity to not only pair with the Lakers brand that we all know carries so much resonance, but get to match wits with someone like LeBron James, I mean, that's a very real temptation. And that's why, we heard reports today that Danny Hurley told his players that at UConn, they're gathering for some sort of off-season workout, that, there's validity to this thing, and we're going to play this thing out.
Dave McMenamin is our guest. He's in Boston covering Game 1 of the NBA Finals. Dave, I'm surprised that this didn't leak. I mean, in the NBA in 2024, there are so many people. You're one of them. I'm another one that are kind of assigned full time to the NBA. And somehow, some way, this was kept under wraps. Are you as surprised as I am about that?
Absolutely. I mean, think about the ones, it's far more often that it's a slow drip. Then all of a sudden you just see the faucet pouring down.
Right.
But hey, Pau Gasol became a Laker in the dead of the night.
I mentioned that.
Yeah,
that's the last time. That's the last
surprise.
time. Yeah, you're right.
And so it's rare, but it can happen. And I will say this, Rob Pelinka is someone who doesn't always show his cards, and he doesn't do a ton of media, so I don't think the fan base has got a chance to know him all that well. And I think that's part of his strategy is Rob is comfortable keeping stuff close to the vest when he's in pursuit of something. And not all people in today's industry are that way. Sometimes it could lead to a reputation of maybe not being the best collaborator, but at the same time, when you're trying to leverage a very sensitive situation, it can give you a leg up in business.
Dave, what happened to because I was excited about the J.J. Redick prospects being the next Laker coach, and everybody was thinking, boy, it looks like that could be the next coach. He looks like a young Pat Riley's going to take over. What happened? Obviously, Danny Hurley's another very attractive candidate, but did the Lakers get off the J.J. bandwagon? What happened there?
Michael, as far as I know, and I haven't seen any reporting contrary to this, and I've been working on some finals coverage, so
sure.
I may have missed something. J.J. Redick remains a candidate. Again, this is not an inevitability that Danny Hurley will become the next head coach of the Lakers. And so until that process kind of moves forward through a few very necessary steps, you still should consider J.J. Redick a candidate to be the next head coach of the Lakers, and James Borrego as well, another candidate to be the next head coach of the Lakers.
Well, if I'm UConn, I would hate to lose Danny. You think they're going to try to throw some kind of crazy deal at him to persuade him to stay?
Let me piggyback on that, Dave. The last thing for you, because you're actually working. What does your sense? I know I'm asking you to speculate here, but what is your sense of what this deal would look like in structure? In other words, do you have any sense? Would Danny want years? Would he want to be like the highest paid guy? Is it a combination of both? What do you think the structure of the deal would look like if those two, Hurley and the Lakers, could come together?
Right. So, John, this is just pure speculation,
right?
We know that after the first championship, he signed a 6-year extension with UConn in the neighborhood of $32 million. There will be another restructure owed to him basically by the Huskies, because he won the second championship. That's just how business is done.
Right.
So let's just say that restructuring would get him to the $8 to $9 million range. You're going to have to beat that for starters.
Right.
And then, I've heard, speaking to people in the industry, that kind of the whisper down the lane talk about Kentucky's interest in Dan Hurley would have been tendering an offer in the $10 to $12 million range. So you probably got to clear that as well. And for someone leaving a place where he's a certified legend, even if he struggles with NIL, not that he's shown any sign that he would, but if there's an adjustment period there, he has a long road of job security at UConn. He's only 51 years old. He could stay there for another 10 years. And so
sure.
the typical head coach starting job, you're talking about usually a 4-year deal, in rare occasions a 5-year deal. It wouldn't shock me if we're talking about a deal north of $10 million a year and more than 5 seasons.
Yeah, it wouldn't shock me. I think that's a very safe projection, and it'll be interesting to see. Hey, I lied. One last quick thing. As far as you know, have AD and LeBron had a chance to talk to Danny yet?
No, they haven't, and I've reported this on SportsCenter. LeBron James has not spoken to the Lakers organization about Dan Hurley. He has not spoken to them about J.J. Redick or any other candidate. He's made it clear through his representatives that he respects the process the Lakers have to go through. He wants them to do what's best for the organization and recognizes that whoever they hire will most likely be with the organization beyond his playing days. Now, with LeBron, you never know. Maybe we'll be covering him in the
Yeah, right. Play till he's 50.
But that's one point. And then as far as AD goes, obviously that's the best player on the Lakers right now. It's not LeBron, it's AD. AD has no relationship with Danny Hurley. So clearly that would be something that if I'm the Lakers, that's a high priority in making sure that they'll be able to work with one another before I make it that higher.
Dave, I really appreciate you doing this. I know I've covered the finals, and I know how your phone's ringing and they're grabbing at you to do 19 different things. So thanks for making a few minutes for us, and enjoy Boston as much as you can as a Laker reporter.
Hey, and Dave, if you see Cedric Maxwell, tell him I hate him.
Oh, I will do that